Something I haven't heard very many conscious individuals do is address marriage or the concept of marriage. I haven't heard it addressed very often from a black perspective. Not a black person that practices white supremacy culture, but a black person that practices thinking. Now, thinking, by the way, is a practice that is contrary to white supremacy. White supremacy culture depends greatly on the herd mentality. So if everyone is going left, as a slave, you feel you must go left too. If everyone is eating this type of food, you feel as a slave you must eat that type of food too. If everyone is on some type of narcotic, you feel you must be on some type of narcotic too. And we talking legal and illegal. If everyone is materialistic, you feel you must be materialistic too. So when we say black perspective, we're not talking about the perspective of black people that learn their perspective from white supremacy slave culture. We're not talking about the perspective of black people that don't want to unplug from the so-called matrix or white supremacy slave culture. We're talking about those whose brains have either never fully been influenced by white supremacy slave culture or those that have been unplugged from the matrix and want to stay unplugged. So what actually makes a person marry? If you ask a slave that question, the slave will say something that leads you back to the slave master. He or she will say something about a marriage certificate that's signed by a European or a Negropean. They'll say something about a white dress, a tuxedo, a preacher, a church or mosque or a temple. They'll tell you about the hundreds or thousands of dollars it's going to cost them to get married. The slave or the person that's plugged into the matrix will talk about a bachelor party or a bachelorette party so they can have their last hurrah before they settle down. Everyone in the herd is going to give you the same type of response. And you'd have to be a fool if you see that the herd is running straight over the cliff and you say, yeah, I want to go that way too. You must remember that thinking, analyzing, and critiquing is anti-white supremacy slave culture. So once you begin to critically analyze and think about it, you quickly see that marriage is a natural thing and that white supremacy slave culture is anti-nature. When an animal gets married, when an insect gets married, what do? Do they go down to the courthouse and file for a marriage certificate stamped by a European or Negropean? No, because they are not slaves to white supremacy slave culture like you are. I'm sorry to bust your bubble, but paying for a marriage certificate is just seeking permission from white supremacy to get married. That's all it is. In the natural world, there is no priest that makes a marriage official. The natural world does not go to work for 3 years to save up enough money for a wedding. There's no last hurrah party that y'all call bachelor and bachelorette parties. There doesn't even have to be a special ceremony. Now, I'm not saying don't have a ceremony. If you want a ceremony, have a ceremony. But don't think that it's the ceremony that makes you married. If you believe in a God, then it's you, your mate, and your God that makes the determination. If you have no God, then you and your mate are the ones that decide you're married. Nothing or no one else has the power to make that determination. I said nothing or no one else has the power to make that determination. Even if you're in an arranged marriage, even though you may be going through the motions, you're really not married until you decide in your mind that you're married. There's nothing magical about a white dress, a tuxedo, a ceremony, a honeymoon, or a party. There's definitely nothing magical about a piece of paper with a stamp of approval on it. The same goes for divorce. If you both, after committing yourself to one another decide it's over, then it's a wrap. There's no piece of paper, no religious leader, no ceremony that has the power to stop the divorce or the marriage. Only you have that